Hey everyone, so I thought today I'd make a video on things that I wish I knew before I started my weight loss journey. So obviously a lot of you may have perceptions of how much weight you can lose in a set amount of time. You see all on you know, whether it's commercials or things like that, you know, 7 pounds in 7 days, and these kind of things stick in your head. So you sort of go away thinking, I can lose 7 pounds in 7 days or something like that. So maybe you can for the first week or so. So maybe if you go from being very obese and then suddenly, you know, you go from a couch potato, eating poor diet, and then suddenly you're eating a great diet, you're exercising, eating right, moving your body, you know, you're shifting a huge amount of water, things like that. Yeah, maybe you can lose 7 pounds, but it's not necessarily fat. Now, obviously the ultimate goal is for fat loss. So if you're 100 pounds overweight, 50 pounds overweight, essentially a lot of that is going to be fat. So that is what you need to lose. So I just thought I would tell you some of the things that I wish I knew. So one of the things is vegan food or plant-based food. It's not healthy just because it's plant-based or it's vegan, right? Now, of course, some things are going to be healthier, but healthier and then healthiest, you know. So I was under the impression when I first started, especially, you know, a lot of these, let's say, call them high carb wannabe gurus on YouTube and things like that. They were basically all going around saying, eat unlimited carbs, it's impossible to make you fat. You know, you can eat as many carbs as you want, you can eat as much of this as you want and you won't gain weight. You can pour sugar down your throat and, you know, with a funnel, and you still won't gain weight because it's impossible to gain weight off these things. That's wrong, right? Simple as that. So I'm not saying ever restrict, you know, what you're eating. The main thing is to eat to satiation, as I've always found. So if you eat the food that we were intended to eat, which is obviously whole plant-based food, with as minimal processing as possible, so obviously cooking and things like that are okay, but you don't want really nasty processed foods. So what I'm going to say is be careful of what you're eating. Essentially, this is one of the things that I've learned. So I've found when having the healthy whole foods, you know, the kind of foods that you see me eating on a day-to-day basis, those foods, that's all good. And you will know when to stop. You can't overeat on broccoli, you can't overeat on, you know, potatoes, things like that. Well, I mean, you can, but it's going to be very hard versus overeating on sugar, overeating on white bread, things like that. Those kind of things, processed, refined foods, easy to overeat on, and easy to gain weight on as well, because obviously you eat too much, you're in too much of a caloric surplus, so you gain weight. So that's one of the things that I wish I knew, that I've passed on to you. So just because it's vegan, or just because it's plant-based, or just because it seems healthy, it doesn't mean that it is, right? So sort of know what works for you, know what's healthy and know what's not. So tip number 2 is, another thing that I learned is, don't just focus on the sort of macronutrient dense foods. So there was a time when I was just basically eating just fuel, so that I could get the rides done, get shit done, you know, things like that. And I would just pretty much have white rice and soy sauce. I wouldn't even, you know, I'd even have the mindset of, I don't want to eat vegetables because it's going to basically fill my stomach up. I need to put calories in, right? What a stupid mindset. So I was focusing on macronutrient calories versus micronutrient, which obviously aren't many calories, but I was, instead of having sort of like a nice balance of both micronutrients and macronutrients coming from vegetables, fruits, things like that. Obviously macronutrients coming from your starches and, you know, you sort of and obviously some fruits, but then you sort of high calorie things. So I was focusing on the dense foods. So don't do that. Always have plenty of vegetables with your meal, and you'll find that you actually get truly satiated as well. I never found true satiation, especially when I was eating refined products as well, like white rice. I never found true satiation with them, and I could find that I could just sit and eat it, and then continuously, like, my stomach feeling full, but personally I'm still feeling hungry, because my body is sort of saying, where's the micronutrients? There's none in white rice. Where are they? So now, even if I did eat white rice now, in the fact that I'd be combining it with a massive portion of vegetables, fresh salad, things like that, and I would also be having beans and other sort of nutrient dense foods with it. So I wouldn't just be eating white rice and soy sauce, basically. You know, don't just eat a bowl of pasta with tomato sauce. You know, salad, vegetables, things like that, micronutrient rich food, spinach, kale, zucchini, whatever, right? Things like that, they deserve as much of a place at the dinner table as the calorically dense foods such as rice. So another thing that I picked up as well is fast weight loss is unsustainable weight loss. So I actually went through a period where I was sort of doing 100k every single day on the bicycle. I was riding a lot. I was not eating very healthy. I was basically spending, it's almost times 6, 7, 8 hours a day on the bike. I wasn't eating proper square meals. I was eating at like 7-Eleven, junk food, things like that, just basically to fuel me riding. So I wasn't even trying to give my body the nutrients it needed. I was just like, oh, gotta fuel so I can go out and burn fat on the bike. That mindset is unsustainable, because that kind of behavior, I can't do that 24/7, you know, 365 days a year. That's not sustainable for the rest of my life. That's sustainable for a short period of maybe a month or so, or a few months even, you know, with willpower, of course. So these kind of anything that you think, if you think to yourself that you can ride 2 hours 5 days a week for the rest of your life, that's sustainable, right? If you can see that in your lifestyle, so if you can see yourself getting up early for work, you know, 1 hour earlier or 2 hours earlier, whatever, riding 2 hours, then going to work, or even riding to work, or however, and then, you know, eating foods that you enjoy, you know, the whole foods that you enjoy, foods that are easy to cook, things like that. Maybe adding a little bit of refined foods in just to make it nicer and easier. If that's sustainable for the rest of your life, that's good, because at the end of the day, we're not looking for some quick 7-day plan or 4 weeks or whatever, because what happens after the 7 days or the 4 weeks? You know, bam, you're straight back to your old ways, gaining weight again, possibly even heavier than you were. So whatever you do, set out to make it sustainable for life, because if it's not sustainable for life, you're going to fall off and you're just going to end up putting the weight back on or whatever, right? So whatever you do, make it sustainable for life. Think of it as a lifestyle, not a diet, not a quick fad exercise plan or whatever. Think of it as a lifestyle. So I'd say tip number 4 then is something else that I learned, is not to be too hard on myself. I would really be very hard on myself, and if I didn't go out one day, or, you know, or if I was during a 4-hour ride, you know, I only did 3 hours, I'd be hard on myself, and, you know, I'd give myself shit. Now, I personally don't come from a eating disorder background as such. However, I know many people do, and this kind of being too hard on yourself, you know, it could cause a binge or a restrict or something like that. So it's not good behavior to have. Another thing I like to always say as well is be kind to yourself. You know, you can only do the best that you can do at that time. You know, so if you go out one day and you're feeling tired, you're feeling weak, and you know you set out for a 40k ride, but you can only do 20k, It's better than nothing. 20k is better than nothing, isn't it? It's better than, you know, you need to think to yourself, how did I feel today? I felt very tired. However, I went out there and tried. So that day, you give it your 100%. That's all you can give, 100%. There's no such thing as 110%. It doesn't exist. So just go out there, give it the best that you can, and know that you've tried. You know, even if at the beginning you're thinking, oh, I don't feel like going out for a ride today, I don't feel like doing this, but you go out there and you at least do something, even if it's a 5k ride, you know, and you come back and you, oh, I don't feel good today, whatever. We all have off days, you know, even professional athletes and things like that, they have off days. I mean, sure, for sure you're not going to see it, because obviously they're professional, and you know, you're not going to see you're not usually going to see their bad days, and when you do, usually it's them losing, you know, whether it's you know, in cycling, them having a crash or them getting dropped by someone or whatever. But at the end of the day, we all have off days, you know, professional or not. So just you know, at the end of the day, you're only human. You can only do your best. So don't be too hard on yourself throughout this process. So another tip that I would say as well is this is all going to take time. Like I said about the sustainability, don't expect any quick fads, or like so you've heard of people saying like get rich quick schemes. Well, lose weight quick schemes, we'll say. Don't fall for them, you know. Anyone who says, oh yeah, I guarantee like £7 in 7 weeks, in 1 week or whatever, all right, they may have some credibility, but that's only for the first week. What happens after the second and the third? Who knows? Maybe even after the fourth, you just stop losing weight at all. So at the end of the day, I'm going to say these things take time. You sure as hell didn't get fat in a week. You sure as hell ain't going to get skinny again in a week. So get slim, we'll say. So at the end of the day, these are the tips. These are things that I wish I knew. Maybe I'd be slimmer now. Maybe I'd for sure have made it easier along the way, knowing these things, because I even spent around a year just stagnant, and this was actually when I was at the greatest weight. I was at around 300 pounds, and I was just smashing the food in, eating as much carbohydrates as I wanted, eating as much sugar. You know, oh, it's carbohydrates, it's fine, I can't get fat. I was eating crap basically, and oh, this is vegan, this is fine for me to eat, this is healthy, healthier maybe, but not healthiest. So at the end of the day, don't make the mistakes that I had. I could have probably been a year ahead now, but I'm again following my fourth tip. I'm not going to be hard on myself about it. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it's been some help to you, and if it has, feel free to share it to your friends who they may find helpful as well. And yeah, if you like it, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Subscribe for more videos as well. I'll see you in the next video, everyone.